Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, our beautiful country, and how we're going to fix these bad boys together. And the content that we're going to talk about today is quite literally unraveling of the far left progressives versus the moderate wing of the Democrat Party. You're the direct beneficiary of this unraveling. And even CNN is kind of screaming from the rooftops that they are losing any and all power, which again, directly benefits you. So if you want to go on the freedom train that we are charting course for, you want to backhand tyranny wherever we find it, right, left, center, wherever, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. Everything I'm about to show you is in the description box below. I always bring receipts. Let's get it. All right, people, listen. We're going to jump right over to my X feed. This is at Braden LOA if you want to follow me over there. It's a great time, great conversations, awesome environment. I recommend highly. All right, let's get into this. So the first thing I'm going to show you, there's a few things I'm going to show you here, but the first one is Bill Maher saying that the Democrats have lost, this is game over. Bill Maher, this guy is a lefty. This guy is not in the middle or on the right. He's saying it's game over for the Democrats. Listen to this. And then I'm going to kind of show you some more points that support this thesis. Watch this.
California is projected to lose 3 seats, New York 2. Also going to lose a seat, Minnesota, Oregon, Rhode Island, Illinois, all blue states. Who's getting these? Texas, Florida, Idaho, and Utah. I mean, this looks like game over, you know, and the reason why people are voting with their feet is a lot of what your book is about. Yeah, taxes and regulation. I certainly have been screaming about it forever. I did 3 years with a sign here that said, how long is it going to take me to get my solar hooked up? 3 years. Talking about it on television in this state. You couldn't do it. This state has almost 400,000 regulations. I just put in a new roof because the fire, I thought, oh, let's get a roof that's not going to burn up. 2 inspections. Why are you inspecting my roof? It's my fucking roof. If it falls on me, that's my problem. And we're taxed more than any other state. People are leaving these kind of states for places where they're not, they feel the heavy breath of government on them. It's...
Ho! The heavy breath of government on them. Yes, the overarching nanny state, cradle to grave, leftist utopian ideals. This is where the gun control all lives. This is why I always say none of this is in a vacuum. The tyranny lives inside that Democrat Party, which happens to go after our freedom of speech rights, happens to go after our gun rights, happens to go every right that we have for the sake of safety. None of it happens in a vacuum. 400,000 regulations in the state of California, and people are voting with their feet. It's game over because the congressional representation he's referencing is right here. Charlie Kirk just did this. Those are the actual states that you're seeing. Leaving from blue, adding to red. That means more red seats in Congress. That means, hypothetically, more Republican gun rights votes. You put the right people in there. That's the point. But red states are getting votes from blue states. That is a net negative and a net positive over here. That hurts if you're struggling for the culture war. All right, now, let's go back to something else in this, and then I got even more for you from Bill Maher. Listen to what his guest says. This is Ezra Klein. He writes for CNN all the time.
It's not that hard for Democrats to understand this, but they seem to be incapable of doing anything about it.
So we poll this. They're leaving on cost of living. That's all part of it. They're leaving because they can't afford homes. And it's a huge, not just political problem. Those numbers you just gave. After 2030, if that holds, a Democrat could win every state Kamala Harris won, win Michigan, win Pennsylvania, and I'm just blanking on the third blue wall state, win Michigan, win Pennsylvania, and win Wisconsin, and lose the presidential election, right? The blue wall would no longer be enough for them to win. And you have to take that.
You mean they could win those 3 states and still
lose the presidential. That's how bad it is, right?
Wow.
And that's because they are driving people out, working class families out of the states that they govern, because the cost of living is too high. And
the Democrats are driving people out of the states that they govern because they are terrible at governing it. If they lose the blue wall, if they win the blue wall, guys, you have to understand how important this is. If the Democrats win the blue wall up until this election that we just had, Trump's second term, if they win the blue wall, they win everything. That's the entire point. If the blue wall of Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania doesn't hold, then they lose. Well, now, because the people are voting with their feet because of work you're doing, they're now moving from blue states to red, which means you're taking away power from the Democrats in the Electoral College. That's the entire point. None of this happens in a vacuum. It takes time, but it will always correct. People are voting with their wallets and with their feet. All right, now, let me go over to something else, because this is truly remarkable. And then I'll wrap up with CNN, who's openly saying that the positive direction of the country is now positive. Yeah, that sound familiar? We're going to hit that in a second. Listen to Van Jones, because we hit one side of this problem. Now let's listen to the other one.
If progressives have a politics that says all white people are racist, all men are toxic, and all billionaires are evil,
That's weird.
it's kind of hard to keep them on your side. And
No.
so we might want to think about, if you're chasing people out of the party, you can't be mad when they leave. And maybe if we had a different politics, we actually said dignity for everybody, everybody's respected, and we need you, more people might stay.
Yep, clapping seals. All right. So we already showed you how Bill Maher is saying there's too many regulations and people are leaving and they're going to lose power in the Congress, and they're also going to lose power in the Electoral College, and the blue wall won't hold. Everything I just showed you in the first part of this video. Well, now the second part of this is the they're basically kicking you out of the party. Whatever. You guys can tell me what it is in the comments. You guys are good about correcting me when I mess stuff up. But legitimately, when you are ostracizing everybody, whether they are white because all white people are racist, and whether you're men because all men are toxic, and if you're wealth, then you're rich and you're part of the problem too. Is it any question why you have the youngest demographics in this country going heavily conservative more than they ever have before? Why you're losing your working class vote? While you're losing every single thing? It's because the progressives are pushing everyone out of the party for a constant purity test. Now, here's the funny part. How do you think the progressives are going to react to this? You know, the same people who house the gun controllers, the same people who house the freedom of speech controllers, everything. How do you think they're going to react to that? Do you think they're going to go, you know what? The moderates are correct. No, they're going to put them in the same bucket and launch their attacks against them. They are eating themselves. All right, now, as more proof that all the propaganda is just that propaganda, let me jump over to CNN, Harry Enton. This is showing you how Trump is doing and how the population is reacting. Guys, we are winning bigly. All right, let's keep going.
I think sometimes it's important to do a little bit of reality check and take a little different spin at the numbers. I'm going to do that right here because all we talk about is how unpopular Donald Trump is. But in reality, he's basically more popular than he was at any point in term number one.
Weird.
And more popular than he was when he won election back in November of 2024. What are we talking about? His net favorable rating right now comes in at -4 points. Compare that to where he was when he won in November of 2024 when he was at -7 points, or March of 2017 when he was at -10 points. So when you compare Trump against himself, he's actually closer to the apex than he is to the bottom of the trough. And of course, that's so important because Donald Trump, historically speaking, has had his numbers underestimated. So I think it's very important to compare him to himself to understand he's actually more popular now than he was when he won, or certainly where he was at this point back in his first term. The bottom line is Trump is more towards the ceiling than he is towards the floor.
So when you do that, it makes my knees hurt. So when you look at this compared to...
All right, there's one more thing I've got to show you here, and this is the big payoff. So how could Elon Musk be evil and Trump be evil and Trump's unpopular, everyone hates him? How could his net favorability rating on CNN be going up? How is that possible? It's almost like it's an operation in a basically propaganda move. All right. So now, again, this is all confirming the same point, the same thesis of this video. When we go to this next portion, this is going to be the right track versus wrong track. You guys remember that in the election when it was like 23%, 25% under Biden? Remember that? We hit on it all the time, how bad it was. Yeah. Look where it is now, according to CNN.
to sort of historically.
Yeah.
What does it tell you about the percentage of folks that think the country itself, with him at the helm,
Correct.
is on the right track?
This, I think, is rather important because, again, if the polls have historically underestimated Donald Trump, what is a metric that might get at understanding at how popular he may actually be? So let's take a look at the percentage of the country who say that we're on the right track. It's actually a very high percentage when you compare it to some historical numbers. What are we talking about? According to Maher, 45% say that we're on the right track. That's the second highest that Maher has measured since 2009. How about NBC News? 44%. That's the highest since 2004. The bottom line
21
is
years.
the percentage of Americans who say we're on the right track is through the roof. And if you were to compare it to when presidents have historically been reelected, of course, Trump is not constitutionally eligible to run for reelection, but I think it sort of puts it in perspective. 42% of the country says the country is on the right track when the incumbent party is reelected. And also keep in mind, back when Kamala Harris lost and the Democrats were turned out of power, only about 27 to 28% of the country said the country is on the right track. The bottom line is right now, a much higher percentage of the country says we're on the right track. And finally, Sarah Seidner,
Okay, the rest of it doesn't matter. Let me go big screen for this, because this is the really important piece here. On this channel, we grind towards freedom every single day, 2 and 3 times a day. When you look at the things that are going on, not just in the gun world that are going positive, by the way, and they have been since the Biden administration, with the exception of 1 or 2 things, which is ironic, then it goes all the way into the broad freedom spectrum of the political discourse in the whole. Biden and Harris were at 27% up, positive direction for the country. Trump has added 18 points, 20 points to it in 3 months. His net favorability is going up. And meanwhile, the Democrats are losing congressional representation and electoral college representation because people are leaving their states. Guys, you are on the cusp of a complete and total pendulum shift. And we're just at the beginning. We're not far into it. We are at the beginning of it. Don't doubt me on this one, because we have been studying this together for 3 to 4 years. We are the cutting edge of something amazing. And you know what? It wouldn't happen without you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. Later.